for Mr. Lai Ching-te to push for the so-called two Chinas or one China, one Taiwan is an attempt failing before it's really started. There is only one choice for Mr. Lai Ching-te: wait until the moment of truth, that is the reunification of China. If he does not know who his father is, let the whole world tell him that he cannot pretend.
Good morning, Mr. Gao.
Good morning, thank you.
Our dialogue today focuses on Lai Ching-te's 10 talks on unity, and Taiwan regional leader Lai Ching-te delivered 10 talks on unity. But in the first speech, titled Nation, he argued China's use of United Nations 2758 resolution to assert sovereignty over Taiwan is completely wrong, because the resolution only dealt with China's seat, but not with the status of Taiwan. Why is the claim absurd?
I think Mr. Lai Ching-te in Taiwan is running amok. He is completely misguided or deliberately choosing so in terms of the one China policy. He cannot fool mankind anytime because the whole world recognizes that there is only one China and Taiwan is part of China, and the PRC government is the sole legitimate government representing the totality of China. Therefore, for Mr. Lai Ching-te to push for the so-called two Chinas or one China, one Taiwan is an attempt failing before it's really started, because mankind will not want to be fooled by such gimmicks. Therefore, the status of Taiwan is carved in stone as far as the United Nations is concerned, because Taiwan is recognized as a province of China. Nothing more than that. Therefore, I hope Mr. Lai Ching-te will really wake up to his sanity and completely abandon his misguided attempt to push for the independence of Taiwan. I think time is running out. The unification of China will be achieved sooner or later. As a matter of fact, sooner rather than later. And the whole world should be fully prepared when reunification is achieved, hopefully through peaceful means, or, if necessary, through unpeaceful means. Therefore, there is only one choice for Mr. Lai Ching-te: wait until the moment of truth, that is the reunification of China.
But in his speech, and Lai Ching-te also wanted to cut off the relations between Taiwan and the Chinese mainland. And he said Taiwan had culture, animals, and human presence before Chinese civilization. That means Taiwan has nothing to do with China. So how does Lai Ching-te distort the history of Taiwan?
If Mr. Lai Ching-te is talking about history, either he failed in history, in historical terms, or he deliberately chooses to fail in history. Because according to history, according to records, the Chinese nationals sailed to Taiwan at the time of Jesus Christ in the what we call Eastern Han Dynasty. That's about 2,000 years ago. And in subsequent decades and millenniums, Taiwan became very much firmly part of China. Now, there have been foreign invasions, of course, occupation of Taiwan occasionally by the Portuguese and, more importantly, by the Japanese between 1895 to 1945. But these foreign invasions of Taiwan can never change the fact that Taiwan has been part of China for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Therefore, my advice to Mr. Lai Ching-te is go to school and really study the Chinese history. And if he does not know who his father is, let the whole world tell him that he cannot pretend that his father and his forefathers were not in Taiwan related to the Chinese nation. Therefore, I think the simple truth of fact is very simple. Just to tell Mr. Lai Ching-te who his father really was and read his family lineage and family trees, and I hope he will never utter nonsense like what he has been doing. He can never fool the 23 million people in Taiwan they know for sure where they came from in their family traditions and who were their fathers. Therefore, don't play with fire, Mr. Lai Ching-te. Wake up.
Yes, Taiwan is a part of China since ancient time. And in the history of Taiwan, there was a very famous event. That is in 1662, and the Ming Dynasty General Zheng Chenggong expelled the Dutch colonists and recovered Taiwan. But in Lai Ching-te's speech, he said Zheng Chenggong was a colonizer. So what's the real intentions of Lai Ching-te by saying so, and what's your comment on his comment?
My only comment is that Mr. Lai Ching-te wants to fool the 23 million people in Taiwan and want to fool mankind as to what the real history is. The Dutch were the colonists. They were expelled from Taiwan, and they were expelled anywhere else from this part of the world. And no one in any other country wants to rewrite history as far as the Dutch colonization was concerned. They came here, they were driven out, they left this part of the world, that's for sure. If Mr. Lai Ching-te wants to recognize the Dutch colonists as his forefathers, be my guest. Then he need to go back to Amsterdam or Rotterdam rather than staying here in Taipei, in Taiwan, which is part of China. We do not recognize the Dutch as our forefathers. We were the descendants of the Chinese forefathers. And I don't think the 23 million people in Taiwan who are Chinese by blood, by their lineage, wants to recognize any Dutch colonists as their forefathers. Therefore, Mr. Lai Ching-te, wake up. Don't indulge in such rewriting of history because you are engaged in a futile attempt. History can never be written by you if you want to recognize the Dutch as your forefather. You don't look like a Dutch. Wake up.
Thanks for your very sharp response. And I hope Lai Ching-te can understand this and know who his ancestor was.